Well, it's December, and we have had an unusually late real estate year. Stay tuned to dig into the real data and understand what's going on with the San Jose real estate market. Hi, I'm Theresa Wellman with HomeownerExperience.com, your local San Jose, California realtor. And here we are again with the monthly market update. This month, we did see a slight shift finally here with that closed data through November. Finally, some sense of fall or winter showing up. So let's jump in the computer and take a look. With the updated San Jose single family home market chart. Now, this is from 2012 all the way through November 2020. And as you can see, we had a very unusually late price peak and number of sales peak. So let's talk about that. Look at these green lines here and the orange and blue lines. So as you can see, October was the peak price for San Jose single family homes. And typically we're going to see that peak in July, May. Here it was actually March. Oh no, that was July again. This is August, sorry. So typically we're going to see that peak in the summer, but not this year. COVID had a little influence. It was also just a very interesting year with low inventory. So the San Jose sales year to date for 2019 was 4,138, and 2020 we're all the way up to 4,083, only 55 homes difference. And I think as we get the December sales data, we're actually going to be about the same as 2019 or maybe a little higher because we have 100 more homes pending November 2020 than we did in November 2019. So let's look at this yellow line. As you can see, extremely low inventory that fueled this market this year. So here's the real estate dashboard, closed sales numbers through November 2020. So the average price is down about 2% and the number of sales were down about 10%, which is finally a normal seasonal number that we would expect. I think we've hit that seasonal peak, that inventory is down, prices are slightly down, and the number of sales are slightly down. Oops, and I see I have a typo here. This should be the November closed sales are down. And yes, I think we've finally seen that seasonal slowdown. So let's go ahead and look at that number again. As you can see, here was the October green line of sales, and we are down slightly for November. It looks like we're actually slightly down below September, but higher than those early months where we had a little influence from COVID. And prices did also peak with that shift in October. Now, in 2017 was the only time we had a peak this late, and it was in December. And 2012, if we go all the way back to the very beginning of this, you see that the fall was actually pretty flat. So these yellow bars are looking at September, October, and November. And if you compare those, you will see that inventory typically is dropping pretty drastically, which we're starting to drop, but it's not as drastic or definitely didn't peak as high, right? But the sales numbers are actually quite high for this time of year. And the prices have seen a little appreciation, which normally they're flat or actually down, except for 2017 there. Now, the inventory is right about the same as what we had in 2019 for this time of year, but it's higher than 2017, which was a very low year. And if we look at history, after 2017, very low inventory, we had this huge peak in prices. Definitely after this 2019, we had a really strong peak in prices early spring of 2020. And then, the COVID hit in March, which affected some of the sales and the prices. But we had started off as a really strong year in 2020. So with that low inventory that we're experiencing right now, I do expect that inventory and prices are going to be, inventory is going to continue to come on the market, but not enough to help the pent-up demand. So I do expect prices to sharply increase early next year and then probably level as more inventory comes on the market. So the days of inventory is currently only 16. So it's a very strong seller's market in the single family home market. And the sales are down 11%, but inventory is down 29%, which has driven that sales price to list price ratio up of 104.2%. So this market, it really needs inventory. We are low with 65% of the single family homes in contract, which is up from the previous month of only 60% in contract. So the average 17 years, looking all the way back to 2003, is 41% in contract. So it's very strong right now, obviously. And the average of the last 5 years is 50%, and we're at 65. So gives you a little indication with this low days of inventory. Also, we rarely see this kind of low days of inventory. We are in still a very strong market, even though it's just slightly changing and so showing some change in the trends. Now let's look at the condo market, because the condo market is definitely different. We are at 40 days of inventory in the condo market, and the November sales were pretty strong, higher than typical for November, highest actually since 2013 November. But inventory is kind of high still for this season. Normally we see a pretty big drop off of inventory, and we haven't quite seen that yet. So condo market is definitely a different animal, and that includes townhomes. So anything with some sort of an HOA is experiencing a lot more inventory than the single family home market. Now looking at interest rates, they're still phenomenal. This is a view of the last 3 years, and as you can see, interest rates have continued to drop. There's been a couple little peaks in like 5/1 ARMs, but the 30-year fix has been pretty much on a downward trend. The average right now is 2.71%. Wow. And here's a look at the Santa Clara County single-family home prices versus the S&P 500. And, people were really worried when March hit and the S&P 500 really took a dive. And as this yellow circle shows, there was a big discrepancy between the housing market and the S&P 500, but that quickly recovered, and the S&P 500 is now higher quite a bit and off trend of the single family home market. Another trend or another data point that says that prices are going to be really strong in the early spring, probably January, February. I think the housing market is going to be super strong with multiple offers again. And unemployment continues to drop, thankfully. And so hopefully that trend continues and we see more people back to work and the economy establishing a little bit more of a norm. Well, thank you so much for watching. I wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, as well as a joyous New Year. Here's to a great 2021. I will see you in January with a full recap of the year of 2020 and how the real estate market went. And if you're looking to home buy or sell in 2021, I do recommend a couple videos. They have a new home buyer process series that I'm working on that's going to walk you through step by step everything from the research phase to hiring an agent to the home shopping phase. So definitely check that out. And if you're a home seller, I have a video on the 8 improvements to increase the value of your home. You want to get started on those now to get a head start on the 2021 market. Take care.